All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rare Elvis Photos. We're going to try something a little bit different tonight. Obviously, usually I turn the book towards y'all so you can read it. I got this set up because I had an interview with Derry Matara today. And so I figured I'm not at the beach or facing the ocean, but we do have the beautiful Elvis behind us. Elvis albums, Elvis pictures. And I made a promise that I would try to get to Child Bride. I haven't read Child Bride as much as I've read Elvis and Kathy, obviously. Or lately, Are You Lonesome Tonight? What we're going to be focusing on tomorrow. At least one of the videos that gets released at 10 a.m. Central Time. Okay? But y'all been asking, those of you that really are following along with Suzanne Finstead, and possibly, hey, we might get an interview with Suzanne Finstead and talk to her about this book as well. I can tell you that you're going to really enjoy, whether you believe the story or not, you're going to enjoy the interview. You're going to enjoy Derry talking about it. He's passionate about it. And whether it convinces you or sways you one way or the other, we still have to read the book. We've got a lot to read. So I didn't really allow him to talk much about the book besides where we were at. When I say allow him, I mean I just said, hey, we've only read up through 1953 of Elvis meeting. And Derry is perfectly fine. He is very transparent. He's very willing to answer questions in the comments. So remember, tomorrow, okay? Or if it's today, because you didn't catch this in time, because it's nighttime. So where do we leave off? We left off on page 108, looks like. So I'm going to go back here. All right, so Tom Muldoon, a classmate of Elvis. Sorry, a classmate of Priscilla. Tired. A classmate of, an eventual confidant of Priscilla said she's no longer who she was. The altering of reality fit with Priscilla's clash with Curry, for Priscilla manufactured the artificial reality of a lonely, celibate life after Elvis left Germany. Well, who was to prevent her from creating her own whitewashed version of how she met Elvis and whether she slept with Curry? Priscilla was so adept at projecting that seemingly innocent persona that the image is perpetrated by some who knew her even in Germany. Classmate Steve Fox, who never dated her, recollected, "My perception of Priscilla was that in retrospect she conducted herself with a lot of class. She might sit there and have a beer, but she would sit there and have one beer very slowly, while the rest of the people would get just, drunk, basically." Blotto. I've never heard of the word blotto. She didn't. She conducted herself with class and dignity. That's how I would describe her. Now, the Priscilla dichotomy, the Gemini double personality, rendered her alternately wild and refined. The demure Priscilla was the observer. I hardly even remembered her verbalizing, conceded Steve. She never was one to start a subject, change a subject, or interrupt a subject. But she would just sit there and look pretty. The daring, fun-loving Priscilla was always present, however, ready to surface when the circumstances were right. Some of her female classmates in Wiesbaden remembered Priscilla as a closely chaperoned, unable to attend even girls' slumber parties. But this was another misperception. A month after Elvis flew out of Germany, Priscilla attended a sleepover at the home of Linda Plank. She was a classmate who worked in the school office with her. Several of the girls at the slumber party, including Priscilla, sneaked out of Linda's house around 2:30 in the morning, went to the school dorm, and pounded on the first floor window of one of the boys' rooms. At this point, the story became blurred, depending on who you consulted with. According to two eyewitnesses in a building across the street and a student in an adjoining dorm room, someone called the air police as the boys opened the window, unhooked the screen, and pulled 3 girls into the room. One of those girls apparently was Priscilla. The students were questioned later by school counselors, and their parents met with principals and vice principal. Donald Troll, the vice principal, confirmed afterwards that Priscilla was a member of the slumber party Raising Cain around the dorm. It was a really wild night, apparently. The school's official report was that the girls knocked on the boys' window at about 2:30 a.m., and one identified girl sat on a windowsill. Though they received accounts that a few of the girls, possibly including Priscilla, were inside the boys' rooms, we didn't catch anyone at the time, as Troll put it. Even if they had, the principal Leslie Murray said then, I wouldn't think the last thing that we'd want to do is to publicize or sensationalize that type of activity. Now, Priscilla's lightning rod, Curry, heard about the dorm scandal from some of the teens who frequented the Eagle Club and took it upon himself to investigate. Now, just a quick second here. The Eagle Club in Germany, not the same thing as the Eagle's Nest, obviously, where Elvis played and what we're talking about in our Lonesome Night, but interesting, Eagle, whatever. And took it up, so let's go back. So Curry heard about it from the dorm scandal from some of the teens who frequented the Eagle Club and took it upon himself to investigate. Still somewhat piqued at Priscilla for trying to eliminate him and Carol from Elvis's parties. Posing as a reporter, he phoned the school and asked for details. The dorm incident eventually landed on the front page of the Overseas Family, an American newspaper for military families in Europe. Curry's a scoundrel. Not only did he allegedly trade meeting Elvis to, I'm trying to find the words that don't get me in trouble with YouTube, to know Priscilla. But, I mean, he told the press, hey, that's his girlfriend. He called the school trying to get her in trouble because he's ticked off. So, interesting. You know, I mean, there's obviously something to this book. Obviously, he's a scoundrel, but let's continue. When Priscilla heard that Curry was asking questions, her parents had a friendly conversation about it with him. Outraged to hear that Priscilla was being linked to the scandal, Anne told Curry that it was a big mix-up, claiming somebody's trying to get Scylla. I guess because she's been getting all this publicity. That sounds like a stage mom, doesn't it? She denied that Priscilla even attended the controversial sleepover. It kind of burns me up that anybody would think that she was in one of those wild parties. What's going around amongst the kids is what's burning me up. They're trying to name her as one of the ones involved. There's very little I don't know as far as she's concerned because I escort her to these things. It's very rarely, in fact, that's the only second occasion that she's been allowed to go. I mean, we just don't let her go anywhere at all, is what Anne said. Former Vice Principal Donald Troll proclaimed that Priscilla was definitely there. Now, Al Corey, who lived in the dorm, recalled recurring incidents where girls sneaked into the boys' rooms to spend the night. Our windows were actually ground height. They were double windows that opened out, so you could step right into the one room, walk down the hall, and go into someone else's room. Donna Paulin remembered Priscilla meeting up with Tom Stewart at a party with the other girls from the sleepover the night before, and they sneaked out again at 2:30 a.m. By the account of one of the boys in the dorm room, Priscilla was supposed to be babysitting, not attending a slumber party. According to Al, this is how Priscilla maneuvered her secret rendezvous with Tommy. Her mom and dad would go away for the weekend, and Priscilla would stay home, or Priscilla would spend the night at a friend's house, and Tommy would go over there. Priscilla admitted decades later that she was part of the slumber party that raided the boys' dorm room, but she called it innocent stuff, and claimed that Curry was stalking her that night. Could be. The whole time in Germany, I was being stalked by him. That night, she maintained, all of a sudden, I'd see a car creeping through, and it was Curry, parked across the street, watching me. Then there was some article that I was in the dorm. You know, he reverses it. Curry calls this a black lie. He was hosting the Saturday night hit parade at the time Priscilla claimed he was stalking her in his car. How would he know she was at a slumber party or she would sneak out at 2:30 a.m. and go to her dorm? The newspaper, moreover, did not mention Priscilla as she claimed. The whiff of a scandal about Priscilla did annoy the Boyaloos. However, they vented their anger on Curry for asking questions. My father was going to have him court-martialed, declared Priscilla. My father's commanding officer called him in the office and wanted to know what it was all about. Paul Babaloo, Boyu, whatever her name is, did report Curry to Curry's commanding officer for allegedly agitating the situation. Curry met with his superior, who asked me what had happened. I told him, and that was the end of it. Priscilla's stepfather did not say a word to Curry's superior officer about Curry allegedly trying to, RAPE, his daughter, take advantage. A strange omission if he was attempting to have him court-martialed. Curry continued in the Air Force without even a reprimand. The great H.H. Arnold dorm scandal unfolded with no one in the cast of characters coming off too well. Priscilla looking slightly soiled, Anne lying to protect her daughter, and Curry a bit fixated on Priscilla. Very fixated. Now, once again, if he was fixated, I mean, that also pretty much goes to show that maybe what he said was true, what the lie detectors or the stress analyzer test said, that he was telling the truth, that they had been intimate together. I mean, and then introduce her to Elvis. Now, once again, we're talking about somebody that's not an adult here. So, I mean, Curry, not a good character. I'm not defending Curry at all. But it just goes to show that the persona that Priscilla has so carefully crafted, as Suzanne Finstead says, is just a facade, not a real. Or she's the Gemini, so she's both. But then again, aren't we all in some ways? So, I mean, I really like to read these things to be thought-provoking. Y'all know where I stand on Priscilla. So I'm not defending Priscilla, as at least the adult Priscilla. I'll defend the teenage Priscilla all day long. Because when you're young, you're stupid. You really are. And you'll listen to your parents, or you'll listen to your friends, or you'll do whatever it takes in order to get your way. I got kids. I understand children. I mean, I just spent 45 minutes at the kitchen table with my son who's 9 years old, because he wanted to play his VR and wanted to play video games instead of do his homework. And we've been trying to get him to do his homework earlier, so at 10 o'clock at night or 9:30 at night, he doesn't cry and whine about it and take forever. And so I waited him out, because as a parent, you got to wait him out with love. And we got through it, hugged it out, and he went out and played with his friends and all that good stuff. And instead of playing video games, he went out and played with his friends. Anyhow, that's just, I guess, comparing the whole thing about how, when kids are young, not that Priscilla and my son are the same age, but I've got an older son too. Younger kids make errors. They do things on purpose, to try to get their way, to try to raise their status. And I don't think Priscilla, well, I don't know what I think. I'm tired tonight. But anyway, we're going to leave it at that. But I am going to leave y'all with Prissy B should lose a Presley name, because that's what I truly believe. I don't believe she needs to be using that name to keep profiting off of Elvis, and that's all she does. She doesn't do anything else. Have a career, Priscilla. Be a real actress or something like that. Be a consultant or something like that if you're such a great businesswoman. Go run a company. It's my opinion. And I think it might be your opinion too. Leave me a comment. As rare as photos. Tisa B, TLC.
Lisa was the sweetest girl. Her daddy loved her so. Prissy took her to L.A., replaced Elvis with Mike Stone. Then she ran out of cash and sued the king of rock and roll. Made him sell his royalties and play show after show. She put Elvis in an early grave, then laughed upstairs at Graceland. At least that's what a witness said, when Prissy should have saved him. Instead she drank poor Elvis and took Lisa Marie away. Elvis fans, they don't forgive her to this very day. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. Now that Lisa's gone, she left us with her book, telling us all that Prissy B and Michael Edwards took. Took her joy and took her dreams, took her innocence away. And Prissy has the nerve to still get up on stage. She put Elvis in an early grave, then laughed upstairs at Graceland. At least that's what a witness said, when Prissy should have saved him. Instead she drank poor Elvis and took Lisa Marie away. Elvis fans, they don't forgive her to this very day. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. Now that Lisa's gone, she left us with her book, telling us all that Prissy B and Michael Edwards took her joy and took her dreams, took her innocence away. And Prissy has the nerve to still get up on stage. She put Elvis in an early grave, then laughed upstairs at Graceland. At least that's what a witness said. When Prissy should have saved him, instead she drank for Elvis and took Lisa Marie away. Elvis fans, they don't forgive her to this very day. Prissy B should lose the Presley name. Prissy B should lose the Presley name.
TCB, TLC, good night from Rare Elvis Photos.